Welcome to the Growth and Influence podcast. My name is Andrew Schultz and I am your host. And today we're going to walk through an alternate email sequence for Mouseflow's new user flow. If you're with us last week, we looked at the existing email flow that comes to a new user who signs up for the Mouseflow product. It's a product-led growth motion that this company is running. So their entire user acquisition and growth motion comes from people signing up for free trials. And then these emails are one of the primary methods, primary vehicles to get those free users into a paid account by starting to build a relationship with them. And so last week we talked about some of the opportunities that I saw for improvement in the emails that were existing today. And now I've written a couple emails to kind of demonstrate where the direction I would take this if this were me. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Growth and Influence podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Schultz, and this podcast is about the fascinating convergence of two massive movements or principles in our economy: persuasive marketing and selling, and personal development. The principles that lead to personal growth and happiness are not always aligned with the principles of persuasive marketing. And yet, almost anything that can serve people and the world has to be marketed. We're in search of answers. Let's go. Okay, so last week we talked about a couple of things, and I'll just rehash a couple of the main principles, adding any additional insights that are going to be relevant for today. Number one, it's very important that when your customer comes into your product in a PLG motion, they're looking to solve a problem. That's true for most of them, except for a small percentage of people who already know why they're there. They know what they want. They sign up for the free trial so they can use your product because they know all about it already. And they already know they're going to sign up for an account, or they're pretty close to getting to the point where they're going to sign up for a paid account. So if they're not there yet, everybody else is there searching for the answer to a problem. And if you don't demonstrate very early that you understand the problem that they're trying to solve, then you're kind of missing the biggest opportunity that you have to build a relationship with them. You're putting the burden of understanding whether or not your product can solve their problem on them. And that just becomes something that feels like homework, it feels like work and effort. And even if they want to do it, or if in many cases, they think they should do it, it's going to get deprioritized because there's a lot of uncertainty and friction. They don't know how long this is going to take. They don't know if there's going to be any payoff at the end of this process, because it could turn out that your solution does not solve their problem. And so anytime they spend towards trying to learn it and see if there's a fit there could be wasted. All of those things are preventing them from moving forward with you. If you can take that burden off their plate by immediately showing them that you understand their problem and that you have a solution, then half the battle is already won. And then we talked about how it's probably better if these emails come from a person that they can actually have an emotional connection to, instead of just the Mouseflow team or a handful of different people who are emailing throughout this process. And we talked about building a tribe and giving them an identity. So when they come in here, you might remember from last week, there was an email. It was basically just like, welcome to the family. It was one of the earlier emails. And there was nothing, and not that could never work, but most people understand that SaaS companies aren't families. Using a SaaS product doesn't make you part of a family. And unless you have something extreme to back up the claim of, hey, this really is a family, shouldn't say that. Instead, give them an identity. So we're going to talk about how we've done that here. So these are the 3 emails. If you missed the last episode, you can go back and you can see the breakdown of the 13 emails that have come from Mouseflow in their new user flow since I signed up. And then I've just got 3 here to kind of demonstrate some of the principles that I was talking about and how they would come into play in real emails in this new user flow. So let's look at this first email here. You may remember from last week, the first email that we got was asking us to confirm our email address. And in this, so we're going to just keep that in this new instance of these emails. Confirm your email address, but we're going to take advantage of some of the opportunities that we identified last week. So it goes like this. Name. First of all, I'm using their name because why wouldn't I? And probably at this point, the way that these emails have been written, I know something about them. So not everybody who signs up for MouseFlow for a free account is going to get this same set of emails. What I want to do is during that sign up sequence, I want to ask them a question, and I can do this quickly. It doesn't have to take a long time, doesn't have to introduce a lot of friction, but I want to know which of my segments they fit into. Okay, and I'm just making this up. I don't know if MouseFlow has this segment that they focus on, but I'm guessing they do because this is a little bit more like me. So I'm thinking that they have a segment of marketers who are trying to understand what's going on their website when people don't convert. If you didn't watch last week's episode and you don't want to go back and watch that, MouseFlow is a software that records what happens when a user comes to your website. So you can see where they put their mouse, where they click, where they scroll to, how long they stop. It'll give you all kinds of analytics around that as well, but you can literally press play and watch their mouse move around on your website to see what they're doing. And so if they're not converting, if they're getting to a certain spot on the page and then they leave, if you're seeing that over and over again, you need to go figure out what's going on that spot on the page that's not working. If like some of your strongest copy is right below the fold, and because you have your headline and maybe a video and a call to action above the fold, but then you have some really strong copy below the fold and they're never seeing it because nobody scrolls that far, then something's wrong with your headline or your video. Maybe they're not watching your video. I was surprised one time to learn only about roughly 20% of the people who visited one of my pages watch the video, and it's the only thing that's like really above the fold besides the headline and a button. And so they would immediately scroll down. So those kind of insights you can get from MouseFlow. I'm guessing that they have a segment of users who are marketers who want to learn, how do I convert better? What's happening on my website that I need to fix, that I can optimize, that can get me better conversions and results. So email number one, confirm your email address, start out with their name. And we say you're only one click away from seeing exactly what people do on your website, especially those who don't convert. So right here, I'm looking into an area of pain in their lives. This is their problem. They've got people who don't convert and they want their website to do better. And they're probably in a situation where they need answers because they don't know why people aren't converting. Do they scroll past your video? Do they fail to see your best copy? Right here, just like questions that they probably don't know the answers to that could help them. And so we kind of seed those in the third line here of this email. Click here to confirm your email and turn on site recording. Now, we don't have to sell this hard because they've already gone into the software. They've installed a script on their website. This is just the next step. But now we're going to start to build a little bit more affinity with them in these last few lines. Up to this point, you were throwing darts blindfolded. But now you're part, and this is where we introduce their new identity as a user of our product. But now you're part of a growing group of elite marketers who can see what's going on and how to make it better. It's not even fair. That little line is kind of like, we're trying to demonstrate to them that this is going to be a big jump for them, and it's going to separate them from all the other marketers out there who are just throwing darts blindfolded. And now we give them the name of their new identity. Welcome to the Digital Experience League. Now, I don't know if that's the right one. Like, I'm not embedded enough inside of MouseFlow to know if that's the right name at all, but it's good to have a name for this new tribe that you're building so that people can come here and not just see this as a tool. It's like, I can use MouseFlow or Hotjar, or like there are some other examples of softwares that do this, but this is the one that has my tribe. So it's no longer just an either or kind of situation. And this email comes from Mandy, your guide to the Digital Experience League. So she's introducing herself as, I'm the person who's going to walk you through this, and we'll get to know Mandy a little bit more in the following emails. Okay, so let's go down to email number 2. I know why you're here. Okay, so the subject line of this email, I know why you're here. We are already starting to address their problem. We're building an understanding, because I quoted this last time, but as Jay Abraham said, purportedly, I'm not even sure if he's the one that said that, but that's what I've heard multiple times. And so I'm going to go with it. But if you can describe your prospect's solution, or your prospect's problem better than they can, they will immediately assume that you have the solution. So we're saying, I know why you're here. And the preview text is, they're all looking at you for answers. Now, if we have nailed that understanding of their problem correctly, And because I'm kind of like making this up, I don't actually know who MouseFlow's user segment is. I'm just guessing that this is it. But if we've nailed that correctly, we've got somebody who they've got to make this website perform. They know that that's why they came to MouseFlow, to see if this could solve that problem. And then they get this email saying, I know why you're here. They're all looking at you for answers. That's going to really strike a chord with them. So they're going to come in, read the email. It says, name, Bob. What do you do on your website? And is it converting? And everyone is looking at you for answers and you don't have any. Okay. So they should feel that. It should create almost a visceral response in them. That really is my problem. Okay. And again, if they're not in this segment, if this is like a technical person who just wants to make sure that their website doesn't have any technical issues, like any bugs or breaks or things like that, they wouldn't be getting this email. They would be getting different emails because we asked them that question in their sign-up flow. We know that this is the segment that we're marketing to. Okay, continuing on. Do you fall back on the old tired explanations? These things take time. We'll have to try some more experiments. This split test will hopefully give us a better idea of what's going to work. You only say these things because you don't have any data. So now we're starting to look at a solution to the problem. You don't have any answers. We don't have any answers because you don't have any data. We can help you solve that. But now, as a member of the Digital Experience League, now it's very important right here, before I go any further, I want to point out, I'm not saying now that you have MouseFlow, all that problem is solved. Why not? Because products don't solve problems. And savvy buyers know this. And truly, in this case, MouseFlow isn't going to solve this problem. MouseFlow is just going to go on their website and it will give them access to data if they go get it. And then that data can help them solve their problems if they know how to read it and if they know how to set up their website so it works with MouseFlow. As I allude to a little further down in this email, there are probably, now that you have this new ability with MouseFlow, there are probably ways that you should set up your website differently so that you can quickly use this data and iterate on it. And so we're going to offer that a little bit later as down in this email as an info product that it's probably free, but it's something that helps them understand how to solve their problem. MouseFlow is just a tool that they can use. Once they know how to solve this problem, MouseFlow will help them do it easier, faster, better, cheaper, with greater certainty of their desired result. Okay, those are the ways that a product can help. It doesn't solve the problem by itself. So when we say, as a member of the Digital Experience League, we're saying step into this world of people who know how to solve this problem, who have these capabilities that you didn't have yesterday when you weren't signed up for MouseFlow. Step into this world and start solving these problems. We've got the knowledge, the expertise, the processes, the standard operating procedures, and we've got the tool. And we're going to bundle these things together. You won't really see that in these emails, but the offer that you should make here is not, hey, sign up for a paid account because you get more data or you get more website sessions that you can record. You sign up for a free account because they want to be one of these marketers in the Digital Experience League who are outperforming all the other marketers because they have this uncanny access into what's happening on their website that other marketers don't have. Okay, it's a big difference between selling an upgrade and we'll give you 10% off, you'll get more web sessions, to I'm selling you an entirely new identity. Okay, so now as a member of the Digital Experience League, you can say goodbye to that pain because you just gain the ability to see exactly what people are doing on your site. If you've set up your site with a strategy that takes advantage of your newfound superpowers, yes, I'm talking about your ability to watch users on your site via MouseFlow, you'll be able to quickly understand what's working and not working on your site. When your initial marketing hypothesis doesn't hit, you'll be able to iterate to success much more quickly. With these new superpowers, there are a few now here's where we're going to talk about the knowledge that they need that they don't have yet. With these new superpowers, there are a few key things you should do differently in how you set up your website. These things will make observing and responding to user behavior on your website much easier and faster, so you'll never be stuck in the hot seat with no answers again. Watch this brief training now. Then it's signed, Mandy, your digital experience lead concierge. P.S. Any questions? Respond to this email or email me directly at any time, day or night. So that P.S. there is written with the assumption that there's going to be a team behind the scenes getting these emails and responding to them as Mandy. Or Mandy could do it. So it depends how, like, what the volume would be in that scenario and how many of these people are coming through this process. Now, this brief training, this is critical. So we're not sending them to a knowledge base. Our point here is not just to give them some answers to some technical questions so that they can go do their thing on their own. What we want to do with this brief training is we're going to bring them in and we're going to indoctrinate them further into the world of the Digital Experience League, about why this is a special world, why these superpowers that you get as a member of this league are going to differentiate you as a marketer from the other marketers who are looking for promotions, who want that next VP spot that comes up at your company, who, you know, are going to need to get their next job after this one, maybe even at a company that is more successful, or, you know, a little bit more of an elite company in their market, the kind of company that everybody else wants to work for. Like, they've got all these concerns, and you're giving them a path to get those things with this identity by giving them new skills, new expertise, and a tool that can help them do it all. So that's what's going to happen in that brief training. Now, this could be a recorded video. It could be a live training that you run every single week. It could be the same thing that we're going to refer to in the next email. Okay, there are multiple ways that you could format this training, but the purpose is indoctrinate them further into the Digital Experience League, entrench them in that identity a little bit more, sell that identity more deeply, and then offer them something that will give them a path to upgrade to a paid MouseFlow subscription, hopefully expand the number of users who are using MouseFlow at their company. And you're going to do that by bundling not just the upgrade to more sessions or whatever, but you're going to bundle some expertise and some training that goes along with this to help them step into this new identity. Okay, email number 3, results like this. Preview text. They don't come from guessing. So by this time, they kind of know what this is talking about if they've read the first couple emails. If not, hopefully there's enough. They'll know who it's coming from. They know they signed up for the product, so there's probably enough curiosity there to drive a decent open rate into this third email. Here we're going to start telling a story about somebody who had a problem just like theirs, who then solved that problem as a member of the Digital Experience League, using this knowledge, expertise, wisdom, experience, and tool that helps apply all of those things. So we say, Bob, before he joined the Digital Experience League and grew his lead to pipeline flow by 180% in 2 quarters. So we're going to start with a very attractive outcome that they want. This should be a true story. So if you have a good product, you should have testimonials like this that you can choose the best ones to start talking about. This is how this person did it. Let's talk about how you can do it too. Okay, before he did that, Bernard was lost. No, I just made this up. So Bernard's not a real person. But in the real emails, that would need to be real and a true story. Bernard was lost. As director of demand gen at his company, he owned the metric for leads converted to pipeline. He and his team had launched a big campaign that they had touted as the next evolution of the company's growth model, and it wasn't getting even half of the results that Bernard had signed up for. So here again, like, if we have understood this prospect's problem, that's going to resonate because they're feeling a very similar problem. Bernard signed up for big results and he wasn't hitting them at all. He needed answers he didn't have, so Bernard joined the Digital Experience League. Here he found a set of strategies and tactics, all supported by the data he got from MouseFlow, that gave him a clear understanding of what was wrong with his campaign. He fixed the problem, and his pipeline flow not only hit his very ambitious target, Bernard admits that he possesses both overconfidence and a flair for the dramatic. It beat it by 70%. I'll be talking to Bernard about this experience on Tuesday, August 6, 2024 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, because your situation isn't going to be exactly like Bernard's. Now, that's important that we say that, because what happens in a typical SaaS webinar is you're going to come here, Bernard's going to tell his story, and everybody's going to be like, Bernard, you're so awesome. You're such a genius marketer. How did MouseFlow help? Okay, MouseFlow is so awesome. Everybody else hopefully can learn from this story. And you get there and you're kind of like, well, I'm kind of like Bernard, right? The main problem that Bernard had, that his website wasn't converting, that's the same problem that this segment has. That's why we wrote the email like this. But there are so many details that if that's the kind of webinar this is going to be, I already know that it's only going to be mildly valuable for me. I might get a nugget of something that I'll go and use later. But what we want to offer these people here is a direct path to solving their problem with a set of knowledge, experience, standard operating procedures, best practices, a process, coupled with a tool that can help them implement those things. And so we want to make it clear, and that's why this line is so important, that this is not like a typical SaaS webinar that you're going to go to. Because your situation isn't going to be exactly like Bernard's, we're not just going to tell you his story and hope you can get some kind of lesson from it. We're going to break down the exact strategies and tactics that you can use to improve your results regardless of where you're at right now. We're going to limit this event to a relatively small group, so click here now to secure your spot at the training. So we have some scarcity in there, which drives a little bit of urgency. You got to do this now or you might miss your chance. If you can't make that time, just respond here and let me know. I'll tell you about your next best option. So again, this is going to engage them. I can't make the thing, but because you only have these people and this level of attention for a short span of time after they've signed up for your product, if they can't make that time, you don't want that to be a reason that they never upgrade. So you're going to offer them here. Respond to me and let's start a dialogue and I'll give you your next best option. Now, here's the strategy behind this whole setup. This could be the same event that you were referring to in the last email. So you could split at this point. If somebody signed up for this event in the last email, in email number 2, where we were talking about the exact strategy that you're going to need to take advantage of these new superpowers, if they signed up for that, then they don't get this email. And they get, some other emails that are designed to make sure they show up for that event. But if they haven't, you can send this again. Or these could be 2 separate events. That could be a training video. This can be an actual webinar. And the way that you run this webinar is you're either going to record this and do an evergreen, or you're going to have Bernard there every week, and maybe you pay him to be part of this webinar. You're going to run the same webinar every single week, or you set it up so that you don't need a guest to be there every time. The same webinar is going to run every week. It's not a different webinar. You don't get a new guest, a new script, a new topic, a new headline. Same webinar every single week. And it's beyond the scope of this video, but there is a process and a set of strategies and tactics for running a very high converting webinar, a webinar that produces the results that you really want with a strong call to action that gets people to take action. So that's the kind of webinar that you're going to build here. So you can't just do this and then run one of these blasé kind of laid back webinars that you're used to running in SaaS, because that won't do what you want here. At the end of this webinar, you're going to give them a very strong call to action and an almost irresistible offer to upgrade into a paid subscription of MouseFlow. And what that looks like depends on the economics of your company and your offer and what you need to do financially there. But you're going to make a strong offer for them to come in. And it's not just because they're going to get more sessions of website recordings and things like that. It's because they're going to get results with everything that you're going to give them in this offer. So you're going to teach them some things in this webinar, and you're also going to offer to teach them more things. Maybe you give them a community. Maybe you run a community play where there's office hours every Tuesday and Thursday, and it's not just about how to use the product. You're going to bring content about how to convert more highly and how to set things up so that you can iterate faster, any of those things. So that's the offer you're going to make at the end of the webinar. If they can't make it, start this dialogue And your next best option is probably going to be come next week. I'll sign you up now, but you don't want to leave that to chance. So you want to start that dialogue and actually go back and forth. Hey, it's happening next week also. Or can I give you a recording if they're not going to be able to make any of the other times? But you don't want to just put that out there because you want people there live. That's your first priority. Okay. Again, signed by Mandy, your digital experience lead concierge. This is a set of processes, and this is an approach to your new user flow that I believe will convert a lot better than the kind of eclectic set of emails that were coming in that we analyzed last week. Those were well done, well written emails. And again, Mouseflow is a great company, so this is not tearing down anybody's skills or expertise or what they've brought to the table here, but it's a strategy that I believe is going to do a much better job of taking new users and converting them into paid accounts. So I hope this has been helpful. If so, leave a comment. If you have questions, leave a comment here. You can do that on Spotify if you're watching this on Spotify. I don't know if you can do it on other platforms, but I would love to hear from you. And share this with other marketers. Share this with anybody else who needs to know how to convert better through emails, whether it's driving pipeline or a PLG flow where you're trying to get more free users to convert to paid users. The process is really the same because what you're doing here is you're taking leads and you're converting them into customers. You're skipping the sales process because it's PLG, but otherwise you would be taking leads and converting them into a sales call. And these same principles apply in both cases for the most part. So hope this has been useful. If so, rate us 5 stars on your podcast application, share this with others, and we'll see you here next week.